Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of Silage with Passion. My name is Felipe Amaro, and I'm the Global Technical Support and Research and Development Manager for Passion Ag. Through this series, we'll be exploring some of the essential steps to producing and protecting top quality silage. Today, we're starting with one of the most critical foundations forage harvest dry matter, specifically how it directly impacts forage yield, silage quality, and ultimately animal performance. So, what exactly is forage dry matter? Simply put, dry matter is whatever remains once we remove all the water from that crop. Think about it as a moisture free content, the true feed component from that crop. And besides its nutritional value, forage harvest dry matter is important because it not only affects how much forage we capture in the silo, but also how well it ferments and how well it feeds to our animals. So, what happens when we harvest a crop at low dry matter? For whole crop corn silage, for example, that usually means lower yields, especially driven by low starch accumulation of that plant in that stage of development. That can also be translated as a lower energy feed. For other crops, such as oats and wheat, harvesting at a low dry matter means a longer wilting period, which can increase field related losses. Regardless of the crop, packing a forage too wet in the silo can lead to poor fermentation, especially Clostridia related, and increased seepage, which is the production of effluent. On the other hand, what happens when we harvest crops at too high dry matters? At high dry matters, we can run into issues such as poor nutrient digestibility. Think about poor fiber digestibility. That usually happens because drier plants tend to be more mature. That only means that they are at a later stage of development, and that is usually associated with poor digestibility. Another issue is poor packing. Drier forages are harder to pack, which means that we can have more porous spaces inside of the silo, which traps air. That trapped air can lead to poor fermentation and further poor aerobic stability. Now let's talk at specific numbers. What are the target dry matter ranges for common crops? For whole plant corn, harvest dry matter should fall between 32 and 38%. That usually coincides with half to three quarters of the kernel milk line. For high moisture corn, target harvest dry matter is between 65 and 75%. That usually coincides with the physiological maturity of the kernel or the black layer stage. Forages such as alfalfa and grasses require wilting prior to ensiling. That means that their ideal packing dry matter does not coincide with the harvest dry matter. For alfalfa, ideal packing falls between 40 to 50%, with harvest happening when the canopy is about 15% bloom. For grasses, ideal packing dry matter is between 30 to 40%, and harvest should happen when the canopy is at the boot stage. Each crop has its sweet spot, and missing it can mean major losses on dry matter yield, fermentation, and ultimately animal productivity. Monitoring crop maturity, testing dry matter levels, and being ready to act when the time is right are key components to lock in not only silage yield but quality, and ultimately deliver the best feed possible to your animals. Thank you for watching this first episode of Silage with Passion. Stay tuned, we've got much more to come. And here's to a successful silage season.